All right. Let me find. We are telling our followers that you started a live video. Cool. Hello. Waiting for Lauren. Hi, everyone. Hey, Patrell. Yana. Hi, Ingrid. My support system. Look at you all. Hey, Lauren. All right. I'm glad.
Hi.
Oh gosh, my head is too low. Okay, I'm so glad you pressed the. Oh, let me go back. Yikes, Lauren!
Hi, Francis. How are you?
I'm fine. How cool is this?
I know. Oh my goodness, it's so nice. I've seen you virtually so much.
No, let me turn this down. Let me see. Let me get my situation. I haven't been on a live in a while.
Yeah.
Okay, this is better.
This is
I
my
know.
second live, so I'm not experienced in live at all.
I think I'm on 3, so I'm a pro.
Ooh.
How cool is this? It's funny because beginning of the pandemic, we were together the first.
I know.
Yeah. Right? So full disclosure, Lauren and I were in our 300 yoga teacher training together. So we have a bit of history.
Yes.
Lauren's my girl, and I'm so excited. I'm excited to. And so we're here to discuss Mula and the Fly.
I know. I'm so excited. I'm so proud.
I am so proud of you. So I wound up ordering. It's because I knew you already. I wound up ordering. So as soon as it shipped, I was able to get my hands on it. And once this opportunity became available, it was just really nice to be able to chat with you about it. So let's see, we have some folks on. So why don't you start by just telling us a bit about yourself?
Oh, sure. Well, as Francis described, I am a very nerdy yogi, actually.
Aren't we all?
I know, right? I mean, I just absolutely adore just consistently training, and that's part of the practice. That's the whole point. You know, it's not a yoga goal, it's a yoga practice, as I say when I teach. But I practiced yoga for a long time, but I also went to school. I went to Boston University to study theater, and when I had graduated and entered the realm of professional theater, life happens, and my meditation practice just fell by the wayside, and so did my yoga practice. It wasn't a conscious choice; it just happened. And the funny thing is that the 10 years of being a professional actor, I believe, would have been much better, much softer in the heart space had I remembered at least 10 minutes of yoga or meditation a day. But needless to say, when I went and decided to train for my 200-hour yoga teacher training, I decided to let professional acting, singing go, because I was like, I'd like to be happy. You know, it was very stressful. I'm not saying that I won't ever go back to that, but I did decide to make a giant switch in terms of focus and recentering, and honestly, respecting my mental health. And a big part of that was the yoga practice. So that's actually how Mula and the Fly came to be. So it came from my yoga practice and came from my decision to let go of something that I thought was the only thing that I could possibly do, which was acting and singing. And I now do that for fun. I don't sing for myself, or I sing in the shower, or I sing for my community.
I saw some of your video on Instagram, and it was amazing. I didn't know that you were a singer.
Now I just do exactly. I do it for fun. We had a concert. A couple of colleagues of mine at New York City Opera asked me to sing in Bryant Park, and then over 2,000 people showed up. So it was amazing, and it was really thrilling, completely exhilarating, because I was connecting to the music in that heartfelt way where it was something that I could appreciate, and there was that resonance between the audience and the performer. But that aside, Mula and the Fly actually came about because of this particular experience. In the midst of letting one thing go and moving toward a different career path, I was taking this training very seriously. And on the last day of our certification, I was very nervous. I was like, what if I don't pass? What if I I was very nervous, and in the physical practice where we had to teach the class, this fly was like, I'm gonna bug this girl and only this girl. Nobody else in the room. The fly just decided it was gonna bug me, and I kept swatting the fly away, and the fly kept coming back to me. The third attempt of me swatting the fly away, it just walked. Honestly, it was like a Don Corleone moment in the Godfather. It walked, and it so slowly, the top of my mat turned around and stared me down, and I was like, whoa, buddy, I'm listening. And then my name was called, of course, and I completely forgot my sequence and everything I was supposed to do. So I get up, and all I could do was introduce the fly. And that is where the download of this story legitimately happened. So I did pass. And I've been teaching ever since. But that's how the seeds of Mula and the Fly began, so to speak.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know it started from a real life. I mean, of course, I read it, and
but the Mula swatting the fly was based on a very real experience.
It's always those moments where you're like, I've been there. I was Mula many times where you feel like, just stop.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So why a children's book?
Well, honestly, my favorite, I mean, I have my favorite authors in your average adult canon of fiction, but I have to say, honestly, the children's books that you've connected with never leave your heart. I mean, there was a book that I absolutely loved and adored when I was in preschool, which we was adapted for my class, and we made a little play, and it was called The Judge, and every kid in the class loved it, and I remembered that to this day, and I tried to find it. It was out of print. Years ago, I did the same thing. I taught after school drama and art, and I adapted books for the children to turn into plays, and I found a copy of The Judge. And I read it to these kids. Time had no meaning in that moment. They loved the book. I don't know when it was published. I believe it was it looked, the illustrations looked like it was around the 1960s. But the point being is that there's a timeless element to connecting to humor, to connecting to illustration, and to connecting to the simplicity of a core message in a story. And that is why I absolutely love children's literature, and I always will. And I love children's films as well. I mean, who doesn't love a good Pixar, you know?
I want to admit how many Pixars I've watched in the last 3 months, actually.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, an adult friend, said she watched something, and next thing you know, I was down a rabbit hole of like 5 Pixar movies. Like, well, this is fun. Because they make you happy, right? Especially during this time where everything is so heavy, and
exactly,
you know, I mean, things are starting to lighten up a bit, but at one point everything was so heavy. And it is true that these children's books and movies kind of just bring some lightness into our lives. And it was something I read in one of your posts, reminds us to be children.
Yeah,
because we're so busy adulting, right? Like all this work that is adulting, and it's nice just remember to not, I myself am sometimes a bit serious. So sometimes it's nice to remember. I thought of that with the fly, right? Of just like, have fun. I was very Mula a lot of times, of just serious and leave, you know, and just to start enjoying, even in the midst of chaos. Like,
exactly. But also, I mean, the question, one of the main things in the yoga practice is the question of balance. That is why we come to our mat, or why we come to the essential practice of yoga. I love and adore Jon Kabat-Zinn, who made the phrase mindfulness very popular in the 1970s and has continued that conversation. And the essence of mindfulness, which is the essence of this book, is focusing on the breath and the present moment without judgment. That actually is the yoga practice. And that is how we find balance. And honestly, the more we grow and the more we adhere to social conditioning, which is something that is it's part of our human existence. We grow and we embrace our surroundings, and it helps mold who we are. It exactly helps mold who we are. But the point being is that sometimes we forget to come back to that essential conversation with the self. And the more time we spend away from it, it takes guts to sit down and simply breathe and focus on that conversation. And I think a lot of my friends who are dealing with stressors, they'll tell me about it, and I go, you don't want to hear what I'm going to say. I'm going to tell you to sit down and literally breathe. And that's what and this Mula and the Fly is the first in a series, and that is the core message. Breathe so you can listen to your heart. So simple in its essence, again, why a children's book, but that's how we hear those messages. So clear in that essence of sitting down and breathing and connecting.
Quick question. Did this come about, or the thought for the book, before the pandemic, or?
Yeah.
So you were already, what process were you in before kind of everything shut down in terms of the book?
Well, the process to make the book took 2 years. So, so it was a very long process, and I'm a newbie in the children's publishing world, but from what I've learned, and before I sent out a query to anyone, I did a lot of research in children's publishing, and that seemed to be the average, about 2 years, especially given the fact that Mula and the Fly would be the first book in the series. You have to establish the foundation of basically a branding, you know, what it looks like, the tone, and how it's going to live, and how it's going to provide that longevity for the experience of the book, and yeah, how kids will connect to it, teachers will connect to it, parents, etc. But the initial idea obviously came in that one moment, that download moment that I told you about. But yeah, 2 years of going back and forth with an editor, then having the actual text move on to a department where they find an amazing illustrator, Ella. She blows my mind. I mean, the way Mula and the Fly lay on the page is exactly how I pictured them. So honestly, Ella was a mind reader. And then there was also the head of the children's illustration department, Rhiannon, and she helped lay things out on the page. This all takes time. So yeah, 2 years. And so the pandemic happened about a year into the process.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I see there's a question about how you found your illustrator. So it was just that. It was through your editor?
Yeah. So for those of you who are joining and are interested in dipping your toes into the world of children's books, the biggest thing that I learned in research before I submitted, before I wrote a query, was if you are not an illustrator, don't hire an illustrator. Do not illustrate your own book unless you are actually a writer and an illustrator, because whoever really connects to your work and ends up wanting to work with you, that's their wheelhouse. They know what they're doing, and they're going to work with you in terms of finding the right tone to make the words sing on the page. So the Sweet Cherry Publishing, they didn't actually hire an artist from they didn't hire an artist that they've worked with before. They went out of their way to find an artist that really worked with the tone of Mula and the Fly. That's how they found Ella. I don't know the full extent of that process, but behind the scenes, they had a couple of different artists that they were looking at. So yeah, they know what they're doing. So if you have a good idea, write the idea. I have a whole blog about it.
How did you know that it would be a series as opposed to just the one?
Yeah, great question. I actually wrote it as a solo book. It was a book that actually Mula and the Fly, they meet, and then they went through meeting other characters, and each character represented in an organic way and a very soft way one of the chakras. Like Mula, she's named Mula because of Muladhara root chakra. So her root chakra is out of balance. She's very lazy, she's very low to the ground, and then the Fly basically kicks her in the butt and inspires her to essentially manifest her dreams. And then they would meet each following character. If you look online, you'll see the following character, Spotty, after Spadhisthana, second chakra. He's a very snooty monkey. And we discuss the creativity aspect of that particular character, which is why it's based on the second chakra. So in the initial submission, it was for a different age group, and the book was a little bit longer, and we introduced other characters. And when Sweet Cherry expressed interest in the book, that's what they do. They produce books within a series. So they asked me if I would be willing to sit down and discuss the possibility of creating a series, and I was absolutely all for it, because you can easily take a book and really center it on what that chakra represents without shoving any dogma down anybody's throat. We're gently introducing the foundations of yoga and making it fun. I only paid attention when I was a kid to any books if they were funny. So that is also the other aim to the Mula and the Fly series.
And what would you say, I mean, because it is a children's book, having read it myself, what would you say adults can learn from? And then we kind of touched on it, but expand on what adults can learn from Mula and from the Fly.
Well, so the Fly is essentially that bit of inspiration that we sometimes force ourselves not to listen to. You know, when we're feeling emotionally down, those emotions are there to guide us back to balance. But instead of listening to the signal, sometimes we go further and further down the rabbit hole. Same thing with health. You know, if we feel bad, you know, that's a signal to kind of go back down the balance path and figure out the tools necessary to do that. And that's essentially what the Fly does. Like a guru, any good guru is going to tell you, I'm here to do nothing but remind you that the best teacher is you. So what adults can learn from this is exactly that, is to find that space to sit down and give yourself the courage to take that pause when you actually need it. And sometimes the pause needs to be a little bit longer. I mean, you and I, we live in New York City. It's very busy, and there's, wherever you may be, there are going to be stressors in your environment no matter what, and that's the whole point. And the beauty behind something like a children's book is the illustrations are beautiful, and it's short and sweet. So sometimes you need that short and sweet reminder to do something that you knew innately, which is to take that pause and breathe.
Yeah. I found I drew inspiration from both. Mm-hmm. From both I found times where I've been either Mula and or sometimes simultaneously been both within myself, kind of having to inspire and telling myself to step back and kind of take that moment. But like you said, it's the practice. It's what we either teach or keep being drawn to.
Yeah.
So what's next you already have the next in the series, or
yeah.
That's already, I'm excited for that.
I know, I'm thrilled. I saw the preview of the internals as they look like, so I'm so excited. I'm excited about all of it, but I did get a wonderful piece of news today, and I'm just over the moon. And like,
first here, yeah,
I will tell you. I'll tell you right here. Mula and the Fly is going to be featured in the Brooklyn Book Festival. Awesome. It's huge. My mind is blown, and I'm so excited. It's gonna be on the Children's Day, October 2nd, on Saturday at 11 a.m. and at 1 p.m. So it'll be a reading, and it will also be a little yoga class, a kids yoga class to weave those poses at the end of the book. And also I'm gonna introduce a pose that I not necessarily invented, but it's called the Fly. It mixes pranayama breathing with a yoga posture. So it's essentially cat and cow sitting down and making some funny noises. So I'm so excited though to be featured.
Congratulations! That's awesome.
I know.
Lauren, had you worked with kids prior to this?
Yeah, like I said, I used to teach after school drama and art. So I am certified in kids yoga, but before that, because I'm just a creative nut. This is also why I wrote the book, because though I had left theater and singing in the corner, I can't get rid of the creative bug. But I did teach. I worked with the music department in this particular school, the School of the Blessed Sacrament, and we created these little musicals. So I wrote these little scripts, and in the music department, they added little bits of music in between, and we made these little shows, and it was wonderful. And I made the little sets. We did Alice in Wonderland. Room on the Broom was one that I really had fun adapting. That's by the person who did the Gruffalo. I don't remember her name. I should. But great book if you haven't read it. And also we did The Judge as well. And so I did that for a few years.
what I was going to ask is, because I was thinking about, as you said, I wasn't aware. I mean, although I did see in your bio that it was a series, that was, I realized that when I read, but how far are you into, because if you say the chakras, that means it's an opportunity for a lot more.
Yeah.
In the series.
Right now we have 3 set and ready to go. And it's just about waiting to see how well it's received. But the aim is to have 1 book per chakra.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, and
I have all the characters. We've discussed them all, and I can't wait for everybody to meet them. But yeah, no, right now it's about seeing how Mula's received. And personally speaking, I think it's the best book out there. So.
Of course, and it needs to be on television. You know, we'll put that out there as well.
There you go.
It needs to be at all the festivals and on TV. No, it's really a nice read. And are the characters going to cross over?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much you can.
Yeah. No, Mula and the Fly will be in every single one of the books. And yeah, there is opportunity for some of the characters to be in the other books as well. I'm in love with them all, and I would love to talk more about each one of them. I just don't know how much I'm allowed to say.
No, totally. And you know, we want to save some for the next book also. And I was going to ask, I should have written it down. It threw me off when you said about the book festival. So okay, now I'm thinking. You said you were going to be in a book festival. So how do you now go on and share Mula with, because now we have, thankfully, schools opening in the city where you can take, do live book tours. Thankfully, everything's opening up. Is that part of your plan to be in school?
Well,
is it just festivals, or what can you do now?
Yeah, exactly. That's a huge one, because you know, in your average situation in terms of a book launch, yes, you would have a lot of live book events. This particular event with the Brooklyn Book Festival, I will be outside, and there will be social distancing, and because this is also going to incorporate a yoga class and a book reading. But there are virtual events that I know a lot of authors have been doing. I did have a live event with the amazing independent bookstore, Books Are Magic, a few weeks ago. We also did a social distanced live outdoor event on a little grassy mound in Cobble Hill Park. So it's basically having smaller numbers and spreading things out, because we need to make sure that everybody's as safe as possible and taking the necessary steps in order to respect everybody's health and ensure that we're going to get through this together as a global community.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what's next? I mean, we know that it'll follow in a series, but what is, or how can we follow, aside from when the next book comes out, but how can we follow Mula and the Fly?
Oh, well, you can follow me. That's all I do is talk about Mula and the Fly.
Oh, you just talk about you are.
Yeah, I know. I do. Actually, it's true, because I've been working with my publishers. I have pictures on my Instagram of me actually doing yoga with Mula and the Fly. So if you scroll through my Instagram feed, you will see them there practicing their yoga along with moi. And so everything Mula and the Fly related, I post about at all times of the day. I really should take a break from Instagram, actually.
I mean, listen, it's social media, right? It is how we promote ourselves now. It's how we promote it, and kind of keep everyone updated. And what's next for you personally, in terms of outside of Mula and the Fly?
Well, just practicing yoga, and I do these concerts in my community with my dear friend Peter Kendall Clark. So I'm keeping my my voice in check, just because it's fun. But in general, everything is literally the books, teaching, and singing for fun. And I
do recommend everyone head over to your page, and I don't know how far down on your page is that when you were singing, but it was amazing.
Oh yeah! Oh, thank you.
I was like, Lauren, whoa.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was surprising. There were a lot of people there.
So the next time we can see you is at the Brooklyn
Book Festival. Yeah.
Book Festival. That's in October, and it'll be nice weather, so that'll be nice for anyone local to participate.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can follow. Well, please follow Lauren. Her Instagram will be tagged on our page. Is there anything else you want to share with our audience?
Yes.
Giving us that heads up on the next.
Well, absolutely. I want to let you know where you can get Mula on the Fly, which is essentially everywhere books are sold. Your local indie bookshop, and you can also access Mula on the Fly online. And it's available in all over the United States, all over Europe, and in Australia as well. And in North America in general, so you can get it in Canada as well. So any questions about that, I have links to all of that information on my website, which is my name, very easily, laurenhoffmeire.com. But yeah, so if you're interested in Mula on the Fly, MULA, check it out online, and you can find it anywhere.
Okay, I'm just going to go through this and make sure I didn't miss any, because it's hard, as you're speaking, it's hard to go through. We answered about, Wendy ordered Mula from Meadow, her granddaughter.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous.
Yay. Yay all over Europe. We need to find the book in Barcelona.
Yes, you do.
You're in the end. Well, everyone, please go follow Lauren. I don't know how to pin, but she'll be on. She's on the New York Yoga and Life page, and everything is in her bio link. Lauren, it was a pleasure. I'm so happy for all of your success with the book.
Yay, there it is.
I mean, it's illustrated really beautifully. I mean, the photos are lovely. She's excited to the yoga poses. Yes. Wendy, I'll show you just the quick.
Yes.
Look, she's So this is really exciting. The illustration is beautiful. I mean, it's such a warm-hearted read too.
Yeah, and it's so colorful.
It's definitely colorful, and it's like you said, it's short and sweet.
Mm-hmm. And
so
also,
thank you so
Mula
much.
is a girl after my own heart. She has rainbow whiskers, and purple stripes.
Oh, I don't even think I didn't notice that. Look at that. It's one of those where you have to keep going in and seeing.
Yeah, there she is, practicing her breathing.
It's beautiful. The illustration is beautiful. Well, thank you, Lauren. It's been a pleasure to have you. I'm sure we'll have you on again to discuss. We definitely will have you on to discuss the next book, and also check you out at the Brooklyn Book Club, Book Show,
Book Festival.
Whatever it is, we'll find on you.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. This was a pleasure.
You're very welcome. You're welcome. Enjoy. Bye everyone.
Bye.